Welcome to this session. In this class, we will be discussing about SRAM, its 6-transistor CMOS cell, and how read and write operation takes place. So before going to SRAM, let's see the memory circuits that we have learned in the previous classes. So memory circuit, that is semiconductor memories, are of two types, RAM and ROM. ROM, we know that it is a read-only memory. So you can only read the stored data bits from the memory cells. You cannot perform writing operation. But in the case of RAM, which is random access memory, it has both read and write capabilities. It allows modification to the stored data bits in the memory cell, and also we can read the data bits on demand. Unlike ROM, RAM is a volatile memory. That means the contents in the RAM will be present as long as the power is there, and if there is no power, the contents will get lost. RAM is of two types, SRAM and DRAM. In this class, we will be dealing with SRAM. The data storage cell in SRAM consists of simple latch circuit with two stable states. Depending upon which stable state the latch circuit is present, the data that is stored is interpreted as either logical high or logical 0. We will be seeing the implementation of this simple latch circuit in the following slides. So why SRAM is called static RAM? This is because SRAM cell can hold the stored bit as long as the power is applied to the circuit. We know that in the SRAM cell it is a simple latch circuit. So as long as the power is there, that stored bit will be present, and hence it does not require any periodic refresh circuit, unlike DRAM. In DRAM we will be seeing that data is stored in the capacitor as charge. So after some time this charge will get leaked and it requires periodic refresh circuit for maintaining the stored data bit. But in the SRAM, it does not require any periodic refresh circuit. So SRAM have three operational modes. That is, when the cell is in hold state, the value of the bit is stored in the cell for future storage. That was hold operation. Next is write operation. So during write operation, either logic 0 or 1 is fed to the cell for storage. Third operation is read operation. The value of the stored bit is transmitted to the outside world during the read operation. Next, let's see the 60 SRAM cell. 60 means 6 transistor SRAM cell. So before going to the details of this 6 transistor SRAM cell, let's see the equivalent diagram of this memory cell. So as we said earlier, a SRAM cell consists of a simple latch. We know that a two cross-coupled inverter can form a latch. Cross-coupled inverter means output of one inverter is connected to the input of another inverter. Suppose 1 is present here, then its complement will be present over here. So, and it can present in this state as long as the power is present. Latch is a bistable circuit which can be present in either logic high state or logic 0 state. To access the stored data bit using this bit line, we need at least two switches. The switches can be implemented using NMOS pass transistor. So these are the NMOS pass transistors. So to access the stored data bit using this bit line, or for modifying the data stored, we need to connect this bit line to this latch. So for connecting bit line to the latch, we use these access transistors. These access transistors are controlled by the word line. So for read and write operation, the word line will be activated and hence these transistors will be on. And in the hold operation, this word line will be 0. That means these two transistors will be in off state. That means the data which is stored will be stored for the future usage. Here you can see the 6 transistor SRAM cell. The inverter can be implemented using CMOS inverter. So this is one CMOS inverter and this is another CMOS inverter. Here the output of this CMOS inverter is connected to the input of this CMOS inverter, and the output of this inverter is connected to the input of this inverter. So here you can see the two cross coupled inverters are present, and these are bit lines. Bit lines are complement to each other. This bit line and bit line bar. And to connect this bit line and this inverter, two cross coupled inverters, we use this access transistors which are controlled by the word line. Before going to read and write operation, let's just recap the working of CMOS inverter. Let's consider this CMOS inverter. So suppose 0 is present over here. Then what will happen? This is a PMOS and this is NMOS. So PMOS will become on and NMOS will become off. So since PMOS is on, this point will become pulled up to this VDD and 1 will be present here. And since the output of this inverter is connected to the input of this inverter, what happens here? Also 1 will be present. Since 1 is present here at the input of these transistors, which transistor will be on? This NMOS. So this transistor is on, and as a result here 0 will be present. Similarly, you can say how 1 is stored here and 0 is stored here. So I hope you know the working of CMOS inverter. Now let's move on to read and write operation. In read operation and write operation, note that the word line has to be on. This is the word line connection. The gate of this transistor come to the word line. So in both read and write operation, note that this has to be connected to the VDD, that is word line, or this gate of this access transistor has to be connected to the VDD, so that these two transistors are on and you can access the stored bit or you can modify it. In read operation, what you are doing, you are just reading the data that is stored in the memory cell. Suppose if Q is 0 and Q bar is 1, what we want? We want this bit line to be 0 and bit line bar to be 1. So that is what we need. So in read operation, the bit line will act as the output lines. Note that for read operation, bit line and bit line 1 has to be pre-charged to VDD. So this is the pre-charge circuit. Using PMOS transistor, the bit line and bit line bar are pre-charged to VDD. So based on what is present at Q and Q bar, the bit line will be either will be in the VDD or will be discharged to ground. So now let's see how you can read this memory cell. For that, suppose Q is 0 and Q bar is 1 before read operation takes place. That means before this access transistors are on, this was the state in which this memory cell was present. That is Q is 0 and Q bar is 1. When Q is 0, we know that NMOS is on and PMOS is off. And when Q bar is 1, PMOS is on and NMOS is off. That's why this off, since these two transistors are off, I just draw with this pencil. And all other parts are, I draw with a blue pen. So now let's see how you can read this stored value, that is 0, from this memory cell. So for that, make the transistors on by giving VDD to the gate of these two access transistors. Then you will precharge BL and BL bar to VDD. So both BL and BL bar is at 1 logical high level. Then how you can, now let's see how you can read. So here there is 1 and here also 1. That means there won't be conduction through this transistor. So there won't be significant decrease. There won't be significant decrease in the voltage level at the bit line bar. That means it will remain at 1. But here there is 1 and here there is 0. So there will be voltage difference, and therefore the current will pass through this N2 and N1. That means the bit line will be discharging to ground. But since this capacitor value is high, this decrease in the voltage level at bit line bar will be very less. So now bit line is the voltage level at the bit line is decreased, and this decrease will be very less, like in millivolt range, and there will be a read circuitry which will be sensing the voltage level at the bit line bar, and now when it senses there is a decrease in the voltage level, it will read as 0. So in this way 0 is read from the memory cell. Note that when bitline is 1 and the transistor was conducting, there was a slight bump in the voltage level at this node. So what happens if there is an increase in the voltage level? This voltage is connected to this transistor, off transistor. So if the voltage at this point increases, then there is a chance that it will turn on this transistor, which is not intended, because during read operation we should not modify any stored value of the memory cell. We should not modify it. So turning on this transistor means this is unintentional and undesirable. So for this not to happen, make sure that this transistor, this N1 transistor should be stronger than N2 transistor. Then this problem will not be there. So while designing this SRAM cell, you should make sure that the NMOS transistors should be more at the inverter should be more stronger than the transistor at the access transistor. Same is applied over here also. N3 should be stronger than N4 transistor. So this was read operation. Now just let's recap what was learned. For read operation, BL and BL bar has to be pre-charged to high, turn on word line, then bitline bar or bitline bar. Bitline and bitline bar will be pulled down to low depending upon Q and Q bar. So if Q is 0 and Q bar is 1, then we know that we need bitline has to become 0 and bitline bar has to become 1. So bitline discharge through N1, N2 to the ground, and bitline bar will stays high. But Q bumps up slightly. In the order of Q, not to flip, N1 should be stronger than N2. So this is the condition that is considered while designing a SRAM cell. That is N1 should be greater than N2. Since the sense circuit at the end of the bit line monitor their state and set the output accordingly. Now let's move on to write operation of the SRAM cell. For write operation, word line has to be activated. Then only these two transistors will become on. That is, these two transistors should be fed VDD at the gate. That is, word line has to be high or at VDD. Then assume Q is 0 and Q bar is 1. Write operation. In write operation, bitline will act as the input line, and we will provide bitline and bitline bar to the desired value with which the memory cell has to be stored. Suppose I want to store 1 to this memory cell. I will give bit line 1 and bit line bar to 0. So this is done by write circuit. So in write operation we want 0 at the Q to turn to 1 and Q bar to 0. So this is what we want. So how this work we will see. So here you can see there is 1 over here and this here 0. In earlier case, that is during read operation, I told that this transistor is greater than stronger than this transistor. That means here when discharge takes place, 0 will be will not bump such a way that it turns on this transistor, but we want this transistor to be on, then only I will get 0 over here and consequently 1 over here. But in this way it won't takes place because we designed in such a way that this voltage at this node does not process the threshold voltage of N3. So to change the stored information such a way that Q turns to 1 and Q bar turns to 0, the node voltage at this point, that is node voltage at this point, has to be reduced below the threshold voltage of N1 so that N1 turns off first. So for this to happen, while designing the SRAM cell, we should take care that N1 should be stronger than N2, greater than P1. Then only the N1 is forced to cut off and cut off during this write to 1 operation, and when this transistor is cut off, consequently this transistor will become on and thus changing the stored information. Now we get Q as 1 and Q bar as 0. Thus the feedback inverter logged on to this value to be written. So that's all about this write operation. Now let's recap what we learned now. So during write operation we need to drive BL and BL bar to necessary value. That is the required value to which the memory cell is to be stored. Then turn on WL, that's word line. Then only we can perform any modification to the memory cell. Then bit lines overpower cell with new value. So how this is taking place is, suppose Q is 0 and Q bar is 1 and BL is 1 and BL bar is 0. We want Q bar to become low and Q to become high. Then that is the write operation. So to overpower this feedback inverter loop, N2 should be stronger than P1. N1 is already, we have already discussed why N1 has to be stronger than N2. So for the write operation, this condition is also to be satisfied. Then the for driving the bit line, sense circuit will be activated. So to change the stored information, that is to force Q to 1 and Q bar to 0, the node voltage 2 must be reduced below threshold voltage of N1 so that N1 turns off first. If above condition is satisfied, what was the above condition? N1 stronger than N2 stronger than P1. Then N1 is forced to cut off during write 1 operation, and this will guarantee that N3 subsequently turns on, thus changing the stored information. So that's all about write operation. And if you want to perform hold operation, we need to make the access transistors N2 and N4 to turn off by giving low 0 voltage at the word line. Now let's see characteristics of SRAM. SRAM has lower access time, that means it will be faster, and hence it can be used as cache memory, that is level 1 cache, level 2 cache. We will be using static RAM as it is very fast. It is several times expensive than DRAMs and it takes up more space than DRAM because you already see that in a SRAM cell you need 6 transistors. So while manufacturing it takes a significant silicon area for the fabrication compared to DRAM. As a result, its storage capacity will be low. Next is it requires a constant power supply and hence more power will be consumed. So low storage capacity, that's already discussed, and it is also having a complex design. So these are the characteristics of SRAM, and we will see the difference between SRAM and DRAM in the next video. Thank you.